So my grandmother has this friend, and she's done pretty well for herself. She's from New York City originally. She retired to Florida, as so many do. Now, this friend, every 3 weeks, she flies back from Florida to New York to get her haircut at her favorite salon. Even if you had the money, why would anyone do that? We're gonna figure it out in this video. Hey, I'm Brian Miller, magician turned speaker, author, communication specialist. I work with organizations, educators, and students who want to create an environment where everyone feels heard, understood, and valued. And in this video, we're talking about customer service. So last year, my wife and I relocated from one side of Connecticut to the other. Now, I'm self-employed, which means I have a home office, which I'm in right now, and I can do almost everything I need to do to run a business from right in this room. But there's some things I need to leave to do, and one of those is shipping. I am constantly sending stuff to prospective clients to help them make a decision, and to folks who've already booked me for their event. And it takes a lot of time. Now, time is money, and when you're self-employed, doubly so. So I gotta package everything up, I gotta get the mailing address and everything set, I gotta leave the studio, I gotta get out in my car, I gotta drive for a while, go find a shipping location, stand in line, wait, pay. It's a whole thing. I mean, I'll lose entire work days just shipping stuff. So I was thrilled when we moved to this new house and I found out that there's a post office 2/10 of a mile down the road. I mean, I can walk there in 6 minutes. It takes less than 30 seconds to drive there. Yes! I was so excited, and so I started going there. But after, I don't know, a month, maybe 6 weeks, it just felt a little off. I was going in 2-3 times a week, and it was just like, I mean, it's a tiny little post office. It's like smaller than the size of this room. There's one employee. There's never anyone in there. It's simple. It's easy. It should have been a great experience, but for some reason, it was just something was off. And then finally I figured it out. Even though I was going in 2-3 times a week and I'd been doing that for the better part of 2 months, I realized that the employee who works there, she never treated me like I had been in there before. Even though we had met dozens of times, she treated me like I was a new customer every time. In other words, I didn't feel like I was being seen or heard at all. But then one day I was running some errands and I had a box, something I needed to ship in the car with me. I was planning on running by the post office on the way home. And then I'm driving past and there was a UPS location. I was probably 15-20 minutes away from the house. And I was like, I got it in the car with me, what the heck, right? So I park, I go in, and the second I walked in the door, these 2 guys, and they're, I don't know, mid to maybe mid-20s, late 20s, they were really nice, and they were all energetic and excited, and it was an equally kind of small, location, but, so we chatted the whole time I was in there, and they, asked me questions, got to know me, and when they find out I was a magician and a speaker, they're like, oh man, that's so cool, I love magic. They asked me questions about magic and magicians, and it was just, it was a great experience. As I paid, I noticed the price was higher than I was used to paying at the post office, but in that moment, it really didn't bother me. It didn't matter to me. I walked out in a good mood. So a few days later, I needed to ship something. I pulled out of the driveway, and then instead of turning right for 30 seconds, I turned left, drove 15 minutes to UPS. Pulled up, got out of the car, opened the door, both guys looked up and chorused together, "Brian!" And I've never gone back to the post office. So I've really gotten to know the guys over there over the last year and change. Josh and John, they're what Seth Godin calls linchpins. A linchpin is a person who goes above and beyond the job description, a person who does the hard work, the human work of making connections, of sharing art. Not art like painting or sculpting, but human work that risks failure in order to make a connection. See, it turns out that that's really what people want in our core. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be understood, we want to be valued. See, human connection is an art. It's not a science. There are no instructions for how to make connections. There's just being present, being open, being vulnerable, and taking risks. It requires getting out of your comfort zone. It's hard. And low-level employees, they're not paid well enough to do that. But linchpins do it anyway. See, sometimes as organizations grow in size, I think that they forget, it's easy to forget, that your lowest level employees, often the lowest paid employees, are actually the ones on the front line with direct access to customers and to clients. See, if your organization takes care of those people, if you trust them and give them a little bit of leash, a little bit of rope to try to make connections with people, yes, sometimes it won't work, but when it does, the people that they connect with will keep coming back. Because it turns out, we'll fly to Florida for a haircut. That's a drastic example. Of course, you've got to have the means to do that, but let's say you do have the means to do that. It still takes time. I mean, flying round trip from Florida to New York just to get a 1-hour haircut, it's not for the haircut, right? That's not why she's doing it, my grandmother's friend. She's doing it because that salon that she built connection with over the years, that the people in there, they make her feel valued. And there's no price on that. If we can afford it, we will seek it out. I was recently sitting in an urgent care clinic. I'm fine, just whatever it was. There was a nurse, and she was really making me feel comfortable. And I'm a nervous patient, so that means a tremendous amount to me. And I asked her at one point, I said, Sophia, what do you love about your job? And she said, well, what I used to love was the people, the patients. But lately, just people are really rude. They don't really treat us well anymore. They kind of don't even treat us like people. I'm thinking about quitting. And it broke my heart because we need more people like Sophia. And so I want to say to you, to me, the customer, the client, you can't take advantage of people who are generous, who are giving, who are doing their art, who are trying to make connections, because those people, it's so easy when you're running late for a meeting or you missed your flight to just melt down on customer service, but those are people. The worst thing we can do is discourage those people, because we want people like Josh and John and Sophia in the organizations that we call, that we walk into. We want people to make us feel heard, understood, and valued, and we need to do it for them if we want them to do it for us. The companies who seek out linchpins, as Seth says, they will thrive in this new connection economy. And if we encourage them to do so and reward them for doing it, then as customers, we'll get a much better experience. And everybody wins. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I don't know if you know this, but I finally have my first book on human connection coming out. It took me 3 years to write it, and the book is called 3 New People. Make the most of your daily interactions and stop missing amazing opportunities. It launches in December. Right now you can get on an email list to get notified about it, and if you get on that list, you also get a weekly email from me that has tips and techniques and strategies for making better and more meaningful connections with anyone that you meet anywhere in your life, personally and professionally. You'll be notified when I have new videos like this or new blog posts on my website, so please consider doing that. You can go to 3newpeople.com to sign up for that list. Anyway, thanks so much for sticking with me, and always remember that our world is a shared experience. Have a great day.
Sometimes it's all out of reach. Soldier